Hi everyone. So today I'm going to speak about how the concept of risk analysis in IAG works. So primarily, like we are going to speak about two different topics, like how the risk analysis happens in standalone IAG system and how the risk analysis happens when we use IAG with GRC system using the concept of IAG Bridge. So this is one topic where I always keep hearing lots of queries and questions. So that's the main reason behind this particular video series. So now let's first cover the simple one, like where we don't have GRC system in place, and it's going to be like only IAG system, and how the concept of risk analysis works in IAG system. So primarily the concept of risk analysis in IAG works exactly the same way how it works in the GRC system. We have a master data, which is nothing but the contribution of rule set, and it contains functions and actions. In addition to that, since IAG also supports the cloud applications, the concept of permission also come into the picture. So the master data, which is made up of rule set, which contains functions, actions, and permission, and the corresponding user information is very critical as a part of the master data setup, which is very much required to do the risk analysis. And the way the risk analysis gets updated in the system, there is a two job which we need to run. So the repository job for both on-premise as well as like for cloud applications, and the access analysis job. So the access analysis job compares the actions which has been done in the connector system versus the rules that it has been maintained. Based on that, so the output is derived or the risk is derived. An important point to be noted: both of these jobs should be scheduled on a some amount of frequencies, because this job should be recurring in basis so that the data gets updated and it is up to date. Next comes the execution. So as I was just specifying, so IAG can be used as an risk analysis tool from the on-premise as well as for the cloud application. The concept of risk analysis remains the same for both on-premise and cloud applications. So we just need a job, and once the job is completed, so the results are stored in corresponding tables of IAG, and we can view it in the output. So the main thing which we need to also note here, so the results which we are going to see. So when we are going to run a risk analysis, the output which we see under access analysis section, or basically the analysis section. So the user analysis or the dashboard section in IAG. So the results are stored and the results are being retrieved from the underlying HANA tables underlying IAG. So that's what like we'll be seeing. Correspondingly, we can have the remediation plan and then subsequently the mitigation assignment. But one important thing which we need to note in case of an access request, it's not like the GRC system where we have an option of runtime risk analysis. So in IAG, there is no runtime risk analysis concept. Every time, even when we go and try to do the risk analysis in the access request, at the time of risk analysis, the system is not going to perform the real-time risk analysis or runtime risk analysis. Rather, it will pull the data which has been already stored through the sink. So that's the main reason we need to have these jobs recurring so that the data are up to date. On the other side, how the same concept works in case of IAG Bridge, meaning we are going to carry out the risk analysis from the GRC system for the cloud applications and how that model works. So the steps remains the same. The only thing which we need to keep in mind, so the master data on both the sides should be consistent. The rule set, the functions, and the user information, both on IAG and GRC, should be synchronous. And this can be again done by running the synchronous job between GRC and IAG on a recurring basis so that the master data is consistent. And we need to have the repository job in GRC as well as subsequently the repository jobs and the access analysis jobs in the IAG to be synchronized on a frequent basis so that the data what we see is accurate and up to date. The execution, again, like we can have GRC or IAG to IAG bridge scenario in GRC. So the results what we are going to see will definitely have the difference. But prior to discussing about that, so one important thing from the execution standpoint, so for both for on-premise application and for cloud application, so we can do the concept of runtime risk analysis, which is a very famous feature which is there in GRC, where at any given point of time, the runtime risk analysis happens in GRC, and that functionality we can leverage here. And there is two parameters predominantly which we need to configure in GRC to establish IAG integration, and that parameters will take care of these functions. The main important thing to be noted here, so the place where we are going to see the results, when we will use the output of risk analysis. So in case of GRC, we can't see the output of risk analysis of a cloud application. So if we want to see the output of a risk analysis of a cloud application, the only place where we can see that information is in IAG. So in GRC, we will not have that information. That is very, very important point which we need to make a note. Then Sarvesh, why we are actually performing this risk analysis? So primarily we are performing this risk analysis for real-time risk analysis, where in my GRC system, I have a cloud application which I need to do the provisioning. And when we want to do a provisioning, so from GRC system through IAG Bridge, the information which has been stored in IAG will be compared, will be processed, and will be shared with the GRC, the user in GRC, so that we get a holistic picture of the risk analysis being happening in real time or in runtime from GRC, and a communication is established to IAG. So that way, the user who is creating an access request in GRC will feel the same functionality or the same results which he is seeing it in IAG. And through IAG Bridge, we can simplify this process. And once we follow the steps, we'll be able to retrieve the output. So that's all I had for today's video. And stay connected. We are going to speak about a lot in upcoming days. Thank you.